In this video, we're looking at something that's new from NIrV that is geared toward young children. It's called the Tiny Theologians Bible. And the idea of this Bible, it says it's a beginner's guide to the Bible for kids. And what this Bible is trying to do is fill a gap between Bibles that are for little children, that are more like storybook Bibles, and text Bibles, where you have the full text of the Bible. And this Bible here does have the full text of the Bible, but it's really going to fill that gap and be kind of that first full text Bible for young children. And one thing that they do to help with that is they provide the text in the New International Reader's Version, which is a simplified New International Version for young children, and also maybe for people who are reading the Bible. The Bible in English as a second language would be another use of the NIrV. So NIrV for the Bible text, and then there's going to be features that are geared toward young children. And the one that we're looking at here comes in the blue leather soft overboard. You can see here on the back of this box that it comes in, just a nice overview of the features. And you can tell this is going to be very colorful, something that's very appealing and engaging for young children. The retail price on this is $44.99. And they call this the blue leather soft. It is a hardback, and leather soft is just kind of their generic term for any kind of synthetic cover. It doesn't really look or feel like leather. It actually has a very grippy cover to it, very unique. And as you can tell, this is something that is bright, colorful, just something that, young children would be drawn to, I think. And I guess too, just that feel of it. It is easy to hold, which is good for children. As I said, it kind of has this grippy feel to it. And the side here says NIrV, and it's the NIrV Kids Bibles. Then you have the emblem for the Tiny Theologians Bible. You can see here, just looking at the page edges, that this has a lot of color in here. And we'll look at the inside, but also this Bible does have a green angle cut ribbon, and then also has a design on the front cover here. As we get in here, you do see a presentation page and the title page. So much color. The copyright page here says that this is the illustrations copyright is 2026. Ancillary content is copyright 2026. So as I'm recording this, this is a new Bible, first printing of 2026, printed in India. And here's the table of contents. I love this. I just love the visual of this. It's not just a plain table of contents. You actually see a nice illustration there showing the different books of the Bible on a bookshelf, and also divides them up into genres. And that is going to go along with, as you can see on the pages here, the color coding of the borders of the pages. So the Law and the Covenant are going to be in this first color here. Then you have the Old Testament history in the second color, and so on and so forth. So that is just one of the ways they're making this visually appealing, but also instructive to young children. Alphabetical order of the books of the Bible. Then you have a welcome with the features, just showing you, giving you a tour of how this Bible is formatted. And then it talks about what are chapter numbers and verse numbers and how do I use them. Things that would be intuitive or easier for adults or older children to understand. This is just making it very accessible and easy for young children. And of course, parents can go through this with their young child and help them. So it's a great way to just help young children to start reading the text Bible, read the Bible with all of the text of the Bible. Then we get to the Old Testament title page, and you'll see here we have an introduction page spread for the Law and Covenant books. And then you have a book introduction for the book of Genesis. So a lot like what you see in adult Bibles, but just really simplified, streamlined for young children. So I think, there are just so many people who would find this very useful, and it would really be wonderful to give to a young child in your family, and not just say, here's a Bible, but, be able to help them to start reading the Bible. Use this in a devotional setting with your children. You have just extra things here that are written in the Bible to help children to understand some theological truths. A little thing here about the profile of the character of Joseph, pointing us to Jesus. And the text here, to me, it looks very readable. It is a double column text. I believe it is line matched. The print size on the back of the box says that it is a 9-point size print. So I think that's great. I remember my first Bible as a young child was actually quite small print. So this is really good. So a lot of great information and visuals in this Bible. You'll see, as you get to the different sections, we're now in the Old Testament history books. They have key verse call-outs here in some places. Again, theological articles or little extra blurbs here. So this is on the judges pointing us to Jesus. Book introductions. When we get to the next section, we're in wisdom and poetry. So you have Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Song of Songs. Then we have prophecy. So we're going to have the prophetic books of the Old Testament, major and minor prophets, which refers to the larger books of the prophets and the smaller books of the prophets. And then we get into the New Testament. And the New Testament is going to have its own title page, but also you have the spread for this section of the Bible, Gospels and Acts. So I think it's a really simple, and sometimes simple things end up being some of the most brilliant ideas. So in some ways, it's just keeping the focus on the Bible text. It's not a lot of study materials, but enough to help young children navigate their way through the Bible. And yet, it's going to be a text Bible for them to read, something that they can take to church, and anywhere that someone is teaching them from in the Bible, they can have that here, or they can start to read books of the Bible or parts of books of the Bible for themselves. So definitely a bridge. If this was like a 6-year-old getting this Bible and they read it and had it and were able to keep it for a few years, then by the time they're 8 or 9 or 10, they maybe have read a lot of this, or at least read a lot more of the Bible than a lot of young children read. So that's great. And then we get to final section here, which is the letters of the Bible and Revelation. And we'll get to the back of the Bible here and see what's in the back. So after the book of Revelation, you're going to have a glossary. So this will tell children some key terms, define those terms for them. I really like that. That's a nice feature. Words that we can take for granted and think we understand them pretty easily for young children. It's good to have something like this. And again, parents or teachers could use this. So I could see this being used in a family setting, a school setting, church setting. So you have maps as well. So here, and these are the typical NIrV maps. They are just on regular Bible paper, but very nice maps, and you don't always see that in children's Bibles. So that's really good material in the back there. Again, pretty simple. It's not an overload of information and features, and yet just enough of a modification to make it really useful for young children. So that is the Tiny Theologians Bible, new Bible from Zondervan. And if you have any questions or comments about this particular Bible, feel free to leave that in the comments section below. Thank you so much for taking a look at this with me from a first perspective.